These 5 books changed my life and made me realize that reading is really all that. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rapali. If you're new here, this week I thought I would do something a little bit different. I just thought I could do a little bit of a chatty video this week. I've been thinking a lot and reflecting a lot about my hobby of reading and how much I love it and how it's a hobby that I've carried through childhood into adulthood. And I was reflecting back on how when I was in high school and college, school got really hard and required reading was kind of a lot for school. So I stopped reading my favorite fiction books for a little bit, other than The Hunger Games and I think Twilight or Harry Potter. Those were the only 3 series that I think I read in high school and college, and then I didn't really read anything else because school just got too much. And in my senior year of college, I felt like I wanted to start reading again because I missed it so much and it made me so happy. It brought me so much joy. And so I just wanted to share with you 5 books that made me fall back in love with reading post-grad. This could be helpful for you if you're kind of in a reading slump or you just want to reignite that spark for reading again. These books I think will really make you feel invigorated by the hobby of reading. So let's dive right into it. First book I have, and the first one I read way back in 2018, which is, I can't believe, I graduated college in 2018 and I cannot believe that it's been almost 10 years since I graduated college. So the first book I read post-grad, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This is a young adult novel. It's a 4-book series. At the time, only this one, and I think the second one had just come out. So I didn't know that it was gonna be a 4-book series. So when I finished the second one, I was devastated that there was no more books. An Ember in the Ashes is a young adult novel that follows 2 main characters, Laya, who's part of the scholar people, and then Elias, who is part of the Martial Empire. This is a really, really addictive and fast-paced fantasy novel. There's a romance also between Laya and Elias, which is so good. It's to die for. Martial Empire is extremely brutal and terrible, and honestly, just overall, Elias is the finest soldier in the Martial Empire, and he's also the son of the main general, I think, in the Martial Empire school, and Laya is part of the scholar people, and they are the ones that were oppressed once the martial people came and took control of their land. I loved this book. It reminded me so much of the books I read when I was a kid, of how fast-paced things are and how immersive the world felt, and I genuinely felt so emotionally connected to these characters as well. It's very, very addictive. I recently reread this, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, and I sped through it. I could not put it down. I was going to events and bringing this book in the car because my husband usually drives, and I was reading this in the car on the way to the event because I could not stop reading it. I have not yet finished the last 2 books in the series because I know it's going to emotionally destroy me, but I am building up to it. There's a lot of pain and suffering that happens in these books, but it did remind me of how much I love immersive world building, and Sabaa Tahir does an amazing job of that. Then we have Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I have never read a story like this before in my life. I think that she does such an amazing job of writing and provoking emotion in you when you're reading this. We start in Ghana and we follow 2 half-sisters who are born in different villages, and they're unaware that they have a sister or a half-sister, and they lead 2 completely different lives. One of the sisters marries a Englishman, I think, and she ends up leading a life of comfort, and the other one is, I think, sold into slavery and is taken to the States. Each chapter follows a relative of one of the half-sisters, for each generation, and the strife and terrible things that they go through as Black women in the modern coming up to the modern world and how their lineage continues on through history and how we get to see history through the eyes of these two sisters and their relatives. It is so thought-provoking, and it is so emotionally a lot. I don't think I've ever stopped thinking about this book since I read it. Like, I genuinely have not stopped thinking about it. I don't know if I'll ever read a book like this again. It is just so well written. I love how the stories weave into each other. I love how each character gets so much depth. Like, each relative gets so much depth that I feel like a lot of authors cannot do. It's very impressive, and it's very educational too, because you get to learn a lot about history in a perspective that I feel like we're not taught a lot of times. So, and we have The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I think I read this book at the exact time that I was supposed to. This book follows a Andalusian shepherd boy named Santiago who has a dream to leave his homeland in Spain and travel to Egypt to find like a treasure that's buried there near like the pyramid. This book really resonated with me after college, especially because it's so easy to get lost in the day-to-day and the life that we're living that you tend to forget what your dreams are and what you're doing this all for. And I think this book was a really good reminder of that, of like, you are your biggest op, basically. You are not able to achieve these dreams because you are not letting yourself do it. Santiago ends up meeting like a store owner or something like that on his journey to Egypt, and the store owner was just like, oh yeah, I had also dreamed of achieving or finding this treasure one day. And Santiago was like, what happened? Like, why didn't you go for it? And he was just like, oh, I just got really comfortable. Like, I'm happy here. It's not like I'm not happy, but I just got happy enough that I don't feel the need to go look for this treasure anymore. And it's a great reminder of like, it's fine if you're like complacent and you're happy where you are. Like, it's okay to be happy where you are. But if there is a dream that you want to achieve, you are the only person that can make that happen for yourself. So this book really changed my life. I have tried to go back and read it again. It's been hard though, because I think unless you're in that time period in your life, it's going to be really hard to relate to Santiago's journey to Egypt. Then we have my most precious prized possession, Beachread by Emily Henry. I remember I'd gotten this from the library first because I didn't read romance a lot when I was a kid. I grew up in the era where it was dystopian or fantasy. Like, I was a Hunger Games kid, I was a Harry Potter kid, I was a Percy Jackson kid. Like, those were the books that I was raised on. When I got older and I was an adult and I understood what romance meant, I started reading more romance books. Yeah, this released in 2020, so it's like 2018, 2019. I tried a couple other romance books. They didn't really hit it for me, so I continued to read like fantasy and dystopian like I used to. One beautiful glorious day, I read Beachread by Emily Henry, and I was changed forever. Emily Henry's writing style is so beautiful. She does such an amazing job of making you feel like these characters are really personal to you. I rooted for January and Gus from almost the beginning. I was transported to a world, and I only thought that was possible to be done through fantasy and dystopian world, but I didn't know that you could be transported to a world and actually feel so happy about it. Like, usually these fantasy and dystopian worlds, I'm just like, oh my god, on the edge of my seat crying, sobbing because I can't believe what's happening to the characters. But this, to read a happy ending, was so sweet and so wonderful, and it made me an Emily Henry fan forever and ever and ever. I wanted to read a quote. No, Shady said, "Falling's the part that takes your breath away. It's the part when you can't believe the person standing in front of you both exists and happens to wander into your path. It's supposed to make you feel lucky to be alive exactly when and where you are." I'm about to sound so cheesy, but I just met my husband and I read this book and it just resonated with me. You know, like, I understood what January was talking about. I understood what her friend was trying to tell her. Like, falling in love is not this like crazy big fireworks explosion thing. It's like something small, and it's something that you keep thinking about is so lucky to be happening to you. Lastly, I have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I freaking love this book so much. When I was younger, I was so obsessed with Greek mythology. So when I got back into reading, I saw that this book, Song of Achilles, was like a take on the Iliad, which I loved the Odyssey in school, but I never read the Iliad. I guess I could call this kind of a romance book, like another love story that truly changed me and changed my opinion on romance books, because I didn't really read romance books that frequently, and the added interpretation of Achilles and Patroclus, I don't know if that's how you say his name, storyline behind the two characters and the love story between them was it's so beautifully written. It's so heart-achingly beautiful, tragic, gorgeous. Like, I don't have enough adjectives for this. This book is so stunningly written. 3 times I've read this book. Every single time I reach the end, I am a sobbing mess. The writing is very otherworldly feeling. I don't know how else to describe that. It feels very otherworldly, even though it's written in first person. Madeline Miller is a gorgeous writer. I know recently she was talking about how she has been dealing with long COVID and it's been making it really hard for her to release another book. And I really hope that she can get better soon and continue to share the magic of her written word with us, because she is truly a talented writer. These 5 books changed my life and made me realize that reading is really all that. Reading really is that girl. This is my love letter to these books. I've read and reread all of these books at least 2 times, maybe even 3. I think Beachread and Song of Achilles I've read 3 times, Ember in the Ashes and Homegoing I've read 2 times, and The Alchemist I've also read 2 times in the past like 5 years. I hope this inspired you to pick up one of these books. These books are all very popular now, rightfully so. They weren't that popular when I read it, okay? Except for The Song of Achilles. The rest of them were all just starting to get popular, but they were the ones that made me fall in love with reading all the way back in 2018, 2019, or 2020. Like, those 3 years were my formative entrance back into reading. As always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you watching my videos, and I'll catch you next week. Bye everyone.